Where legends breathe again. Myth. Your lungs burn with salt and effort. The Aegean is a relentless iron-gray expanse, its surface whipped into frothing peaks by a wind that screams like a dying beast. You are 16 summers old and you are not swimming. You are fighting. You fight because a week ago, beneath the watchful gaze of your mother, Aethra, you lifted the great stone. Not with a crowbar or a pulley, but with the raw, shuddering strength in your own back and legs. You lifted it, and the world you knew crumbled away. The sandals and the sword were there just as she said they would be. Your father's sandals, your father's sword. Not the sea king Poseidon, whom your mother whispers of in the dark, but the mortal king, Aegeus of Athens. He left these tokens for his unproven son, and now you are on your way to claim that birthright. The weight of the sword at your hip is a new kind of gravity, heavier than the stone ever was. This is not a gift, it is a trial in motion. You do not journey to a welcoming feast, but into the viper's nest of Athenian politics, and the path there is lined with the bones of the unwary. The cold water is the first of countless tests, and you will not fail it. You kick harder, your eyes fixed on the dark smudge of the mainland ahead, the promise and the threat of it. Your true labor has already begun. The lifting of the stone was merely the first breath. The road from Trozen is not a path. It is a jaw, and you are the morsel. The pine-scented air of the coast has given way to the damp, rotten-leaf smell of the inland woods. This is the isthmus, and every shadow here has a name whispered in taverns to frighten children. Periphetes the club-bearer, Sinis the pine-bender, Siren who kicks men from cliffs. They are not monsters from a bard's tale. They are men who have made themselves into beasts, who have turned the road itself into their killing ground. You touch the hilt of your father's sword. It feels alien still. You were taught the spear and the wrestling hold, not this business of butchery. But as you round a bend, the lesson begins. A man built like a quarried block stands in the center of the path. In his hands is a massive, spike-studded club of bronze and oak periphetes. He doesn't demand coin. He simply smiles, a gap-toothed thing, and hefts his weapon. The road toll, he grunts. This is the law of the isthmus, the strong take. Your heart hammers against your ribs, not with fear, but with a cold, clarifying rage. This is the filth that chokes your father's kingdom. This is the first thread you must cut. You do not draw your sword. You see the slow, arrogant arc of his swing. You step inside it. The air whistles where your head had been. You grab the haft of his own club as it passes, using his momentum. You wrench it from his grasp. His smile vanishes, replaced by dumb shock. The weight of the club is tremendous. You do not hesitate, you swing. The myth of Periphetes ends with the sound of his own weapon cracking his skull. You drop the gorslick club. You do not look back. The road's jaw has snapped shut on the wrong prey. You walk on, your hands still trembling, understanding now that your journey will be written in the blood of such men. You find Sinis not by sight but by sound. It is the groaning of distressed wood, a deep, visceral creak that sets your teeth on edge. Then you see them, two pines bent to the ground like bows, their crowns tethered together by thick ropes. A man of wiry, terrifying strength moves between them, checking the knots. He sees you. His eyes are bright with a kind of manic joy. "Traveler," he calls, his voice too friendly. "A game, help me test the strength of my saplings." You know the game. He will ask you to hold one bent pine, promise to secure it, then release it, catapulting you to a red ruin against the sky. Or he will tie you between them to be torn in half. The stories curdle in your stomach. You see fragments of cloth, bone, and rusted metal littering the clearing, the lost players. You walk forward, your face blank. "Show me," you say. His grin widens. He demonstrates, straining to pull the apex of one pine down to a securing stake. Now you try the other. He pants, his muscles corded. You nod. You walk to the second pine. Instead of bending it, you draw your sword. In one clean motion, you sever the rope tethering the two trees together. The released pine snaps upright with the sound of a thunderclap. Sinis, still holding his bent tree, has a moment of pure confusion. Then the physics of his own cruelty enact justice. The tension is catastrophic. The tree he holds whips back with monstrous force. You see the realization in his eyes an instant before the trunk catches him. There is a wet crack louder than the wood. He is flung, broken, into the brush. The groaning of the pine ceases. The forest is quiet save for the settling of branches. You wipe your blade on the moss. You do not feel like a hero. You feel like a surgeon cutting out a cancer. The road demands a specific, brutal arithmetic, and you are learning it. Scion does not hide in the woods. He holds court. The path narrows to a crumbling ledge along a sheer cliff face, the sea a dizzying sapphire sheet hundreds of feet below. He is there, reclined on a rock like a king, his legs stretched out before him. He is handsome, clean, almost regal. A small, terrified shrine to a local sea god sits nearby. "Traveler," he says, his voice smooth as oil. "The path is blocked by my feet. It is the custom here to wash the feet of he who guards the pass. Then you may continue." He gestures to a brass basin of water. You look past him. You see the bones, white and picked clean by gulls on the rocks far below. This is his sport. As the victim bends to wash his feet, he kicks, sending them screaming into the abyss. The arrogance of it takes your breath away. He has made murder into a ritual, a perverted sacrament. You feel a cold stillness settle over you. You nod as if compliant. You pick up the basin. You walk towards his outstretched, sandaled feet. He smiles, a condescending curve of his lips. He is already anticipating the thrill of the kick, the long fall, the distant splash. You kneel. The sea wind whips your hair. You set the basin down. Then instead of reaching for his foot, your hands shoot out and lock like iron manacles around his ankles. His smile dies. Confusion, then panic, flashes in his eyes. He tries to pull back to kick, but your grip is immovable. Stand, hauling him up by his legs. For a glorious inverted moment, Scion the noble robber is just a flailing, shrieking man, his fine cloak falling over his face. "You enjoy the custom," you say, your voice barely a whisper against the wind. "Now honor it." You swing. You do not push, you hurl. His scream is short, swallowed by the vast air, ending in a distant, final thud against the rocks where his victims lie. You pick up the basin of water and pour it over your own hands, cleansing them. The path is clear. You have not just killed a man, you have overturned an altar of cruelty. Procrustes is the last, and he is the most grotesque because he pretends to be civilized. He has a house by the road, a haven. He welcomes you with open arms, a beaming host. "Come, young man, rest on my famous bed. It fits every traveler perfectly, I assure you." His hospitality is a sticky, suffocating web. He leads you to a back room. There are 2 beds, one impossibly long, one cruelly short. Chains and tools hang on the wall, hammers, saws, a stretching rack. The smell is iron and old terror. You understand instantly. The tall guest is laid on the short bed and shortened. The short guest is laid on the long bed and stretched. The perfect fit. Rage, hot and black, boils up from your gut. This is the essence of the evil you have faced, the warping of reality, of hospitality, of the very body to fit a madman's cruel design. You look at Procrustes, his face still a mask of benign welcome. You let the mask hang a moment longer. You smile back. "A generous offer," you say, "but I have my own method for ensuring a perfect fit." His smile falters, you move. It is not a fight, it is a demolition. You drive a fist into his belly, double him over, and throw him onto the long bed. You grab the chains before he can gasp. You shackle his wrists and ankles to the frame. He is a large man. The bed is too short. His feet hang far over the end. He begins to scream, not in pain yet, but in the terror of understanding. You walk calmly to his tool wall. You select not the saw, but the heavy, blunt hammer. You stand at the foot of the bed, looking at his protruding feet. "For the guests you made too tall," you say. You raise the hammer. His screams become shrieks. You bring it down on his shins. The bone cracks with a sound that fills the room. You do it again and again. You shorten him until he fits the bed exactly. When his cries fade to whimpers, you lean close. "A perfect fit," you whisper. You leave him there, chained to his own device. You do not look back. The isthmus is cleansed. But the taste of this justice is ash in your mouth. You have used the monster's own tools. You wonder as you walk towards Athens, where the line is between cutting out a tumor and becoming a butcher yourself. The palace of Athens is not gold and song. It is a tomb of whispers. The air is thick with myrrh and fear. Your father, King Aegeus, is a ghost wrapped in a robe, his eyes haunted. He does not know you. You see the calculations in the eyes of his wife, the sorceress Medea. She sees a strong young man from the wilds, a threat to her own son's succession. She whispers in the king's ear, paints you as a spy, an assassin from the rival city of Corinth. The welcome feast is a silent battle. You are seated at the low table among the lesser men. You feel their eyes on you, the strange, formidable youth who cleared the isthmus. The tales have already raced ahead of you. Aegeus watches, troubled. Medea smiles, a viper's smile. As the meat is served, she rises. She presents a golden goblet to the king. "My lord," she purrs, "let us honor this brave traveler with the finest wine from your own cellar, a sign of Athenian generosity." The king, weary, nods. She pours the dark, blood-red wine from a special pitcher. She carries the cup herself, weaving through the hall, placing it on the table before you. The room holds its breath. "Drink, stranger," she says, her eyes gleaming. "To your health." You look at the cup. You look at your father's hollow, suspicious face. You look at Medea's triumphant smile. This is not the test of strength you expected. This is a woman's war fought with poison and lies. You feel the weight of your sword at your side, useless. To refuse is to drink is death. Your mind races. Then you remember the tokens. Slowly, deliberately, you reach not for the cup but to your belt. You unbuckle the sword, your father's sword. You lay it on the table beside the poisoned wine, the polished hilt facing the king. You say nothing. You watch his face. His gaze drops to the sword. He sees the familiar eagle pommel, the worn pattern on the scabbard he himself left under a stone in Trozen a lifetime ago. His eyes widen. He looks from the sword to your face, searching, and in your eyes he sees his own. He sees Aethra. The color drains from his face. Realization is a physical blow. His hand flies out. He knocks the golden goblet from the table. It clatters across the stone floor, wine spilling like a black curse, sizzling where it touches the straw. A collective gasp. Medea's smile shatters. The king is on his feet, tears in his eyes. "My son," the word echoes in the silent hall. You have won your first battle in Athens without drawing a blade. But as you embrace the weeping king, you see Medea slinking away, her eyes full of a deeper, more venomous hate. You have made a powerful enemy, and you have learned that the greatest monsters do not live on the road, but in the palace. The celebration of your arrival is cut short by a sound of mourning that sweeps the city like a plague wind. The lottery has been held. 7 young men, 7 young women. Their names are drawn from an urn, their fates sealed. They are to be sent to Crete as tribute to King Minos, not as slaves, as food. For the Minotaur, the word is a guttural curse. The creature, half man, half bull, born of a queen's shame and a god's punishment, dwells in the Labyrinth, a maze crafted by the genius Daedalus. No one who enters leaves. Athens is prostrate, broken by this annual horror imposed after your own half-brother Androgeos was killed here years ago. Your father's joy turns to ash. He is a king who must send his own people to the slaughter. You stand before him in the throne room, the grief of the city pressing in from the streets. "I will go," you say. Your voice does not shake. Aegeus stares, horrified. "Not as tribute, as their protector. I will go and I will kill this Minotaur." The court is silent. It is madness, a death sentence. But in your father's eyes you see a flicker of desperate hope. He agrees on one condition. The ship that carries the tribute sails with black sails, the color of despair. "If you return victorious," he says, gripping your arms, his hands trembling, "raise white sails. Let me see hope on the horizon before I see the ship." You swear it. The vow feels heavier than any club or sword. As you board the black-sailed ship with the 13 other chosen youths, the wails of their families following you, you feel the gaze of the gods upon you. This is no longer about clearing a road. This is about facing the literal beast at the heart of a kingdom's nightmare. This is the deed that will define you or end you. Knossos is not a city. It is a jawbone of stone, massive, painted with crimson spirals that swim before your eyes. King Minos is a statue of cold pride. His eyes pass over the 14 Athenians like a butcher assessing cattle, but one pair of eyes is different. Hers, Ariadne, princess of Crete, daughter of Minos. She watches you from the shadows of a pillar. You feel her gaze like a touch. It is not pity. It is calculation and a desperate, wild hope. That night, as you are held in a chamber awaiting the dawn in the labyrinth, a whisper comes at the door. She slips in, a phantom in a pale gown. She holds two things, a sword finer than any you've seen and a simple ball of thread. Her words are swift, hissed in the dark. The maze is alive, it shifts, it thinks. It was made to hold the monster and to forget all who enter. This sword will bite where others fail. This thread, she places the ball in your hand. It is cool, innocuous. This is your memory. Tie it to the entrance. Let it unravel as you walk. It will remember the path when you cannot. You stare at her. This is betrayal of her father, her kingdom. Why, you ask? Her eyes are dark pools. You have the eyes of a man who changes his fate, she says. Take me with you when you leave this cursed place. It is a bargain, a life for a life, a thread for a future. You take the sword, you take the thread, you nod. No oath, just a look. She vanishes as silently as she came. You are left holding the two keys to the impossible. The sword is heavy. The thread is light. You understand in that moment that heroes are not made by strength alone, but by the gifts of those who are trapped by the same monster in different kinds of mazes. The entrance to the labyrinth is not a door. It is a mouth, a gaping, dark maw in the side of the palace hill, smelling of wet stone, dung, and a deep animal musk. The guards shove the 13 other Athenians in first. You enter last. The moment you pass the threshold, the world changes. The noise of the outside dies. The air grows cold and still. The only light is from a single flickering torch they gave you. You immediately do as Ariadne instructed. You wedge the torch into a crack, tie the end of the thread to a jutting stone by the entrance, and let the ball fall. It is your heartbeat made tangible, unraveling behind you. You draw the sword she gave you. The corridors are not straight. They curve, they fork, they slope suddenly downward. The walls are not smooth. They are made of countless fitted stones, painted with faded, maddening patterns that seem to move in the torchlight. You hear the others ahead, their whimpers and cries echoing, multiplying, coming from all directions. The labyrinth plays tricks with sound. You call out to them to stay together, but your own voice comes back to you from 3 different tunnels. You are alone. You walk for what feels like hours. The thread spools out, a fragile tether to the world of light. You pass bones, not just human, cow, sheep, bird, all stripped clean. The musk grows stronger, a hot, pungent odor that coats the back of your throat. Then you hear it, not a cry, a sound, a low, guttural, wet snuffling. Then a scrape like a massive horn dragging against stone. It is close. It is around the next corner. Your knuckles are white on the sword hilt. This is why you came. You round the corner. The torchlight falls upon it. The stories did not prepare you. The Minotaur is a crime against nature-given flesh. It is not a man with a bull's head. It is a fusion, a seamless, horrific welding of the two. 7 feet tall at the shoulder, its body is a mountain of corded muscle, covered in coarse brown hair. It stands on cloven hooves that could stamp out your life. Its arms are human but thick as tree trunks, ending in powerful, grasping hands. And the head is all bull, but the eyes are not an animal S. They hold a terrible, tormented intelligence. They are the eyes of a prisoner, a murderer, a thing that knows its own abomination. It sees you. It lets out a sound that is half roar, half bellow, a wave of hot, rancid breath that hits you like a wall. In that instant, pity wars with terror. This is your half-brother's killer, the devourer of Athenians, the engine of your father's grief. But it is also a victim born of a goddess's curse and a king's hubris. There is no time for philosophy. It charges. The corridor is narrow, limiting its sideways movement but giving you no room to dodge. The speed is breathtaking. You drop the torch, it sputters on the wet stone and brace, sword held in both hands. You do not meet the charge. At the last second, you throw yourself sideways, scraping against the rough wall. The beast thunders past, a blur of heat and muscle. A horn catches your tunic, ripping it, spinning you. You slam into the opposite wall, the breath knocked from you. It skids, turns with unnatural agility. It is learning. It knows you are not a screaming, helpless tribute. You are a threat. It lowers its head, the great black horns aiming at your heart. This will not be a fight of strength against strength. It will be a fight of mind against madness in the dark, with only a thread to guide you home. The dance of death begins. It charges again. You feint left, dive right. A horn gouges a chunk of stone from the wall where your head had been. You slash at its flank as it passes. The fine sword bites deep, opening a red seam in the matted hair. It bellows in pain, a human sound of outrage. The smell of blood mixes with the musk. It makes it angrier, more focused. It stops charging. It advances slowly now, using its bulk to herd you. You back down a side passage, your foot nearly tripping on the guiding thread. You must protect the thread. It is your only way out. The beast swings a fist. You duck. The stone where your head was explodes into dust. You jab upward, aiming for the armpit. The point sinks in. It backhands you. The world explodes in white light. You are airborne, then crashing to the stone, your sword clattering away. Your vision swims. The beast looms over you, blotting out the faint light from the guttering torch yards away. It raises a hoof to crush your chest. You roll, the hoof comes down with a crack that shakes the floor. You scramble on hands and knees, your fingers closing on the cool hilt of your sword just as a hand closes on your ankle. It yanks. You are lifted, dangling upside down. The world inverts. You see the monstrous face, the hot breath, the gaping maw. With a desperate, screaming twist of your body, you swing the sword like an axe. You are not aiming for the body. You are aiming for the arm holding you. The blade severs tendon and bone. The grip loosens. You fall, hitting the ground hard but free. The Minotaur stumbles back, clutching the bleeding stump, its roar now a shriek of agony. You stagger to your feet. The balance has shifted. It is wounded, enraged, blind with pain. You have hurt the monster. Now you must kill it. It is bleeding out, but a wounded beast is most dangerous. It charges once more, a last desperate lunge. This time you do not dodge, you plant your feet, you wait, the sword held low. The thunder of its hooves fills the world, the heat of its body, the stench of blood and fury. At the last possible instant, you drop to one knee and thrust the sword upward, bracing the pommel against the stone floor. You aim for the soft hollow at the base of its throat, where the human chest meets the bovine neck. You do not push, you let it impale itself. The impact is catastrophic. The sword, driven by the monster's own momentum, plunges to the hilt. A hot geyser of blood erupts over you, blinding, choking. The force lifts you, throws you back. You land in a heap, gasping, wiping gore from your eyes. The Minotaur staggers. It takes 2 steps. It stops. It looks down at the blade protruding from its body. A strange, quiet sound escapes it, not a bellow, but a sigh, a release. Terrible intelligence in its eyes dims, replaced by a final, profound emptiness. Then its knees buckle. It collapses like a felled mountain, shaking the very foundations of the labyrinth. The earth groans, dust falls from the ceiling. Silence descends, heavier than any noise. You lie there, panting, covered in the blood of the monster. You have done it. You have slain the Minotaur, but the victory feels hollow, drenched in the pity and horror of the thing you killed. You are not a celebrant. You are an executioner. And you are still trapped in the belly of the stone beast. You find your feet. Every muscle screams. You stagger to the carcass, place a foot on its still warm flank, and wrench your sword free. It comes out with a sickening slurp. You wipe it clean on its own hair. The torch is almost dead. Panic, cold and sharp, lances through you. The labyrinth. You are deep in its gut, and the maze is all around you, waiting to claim you as it has claimed all others. Then you feel a gentle tug at your waist. The thread. It is still there, a slender, golden line vanishing into the darkness the way you came. It is your lifeline, your memory. You grab it with a bloody hand, a sob of relief catching in your throat. You begin to follow it, rewinding the ball as you go. The return journey is a nightmare of exhaustion. You pass the other Athenians, huddled in a dead-end chamber, weeping. They see you, covered in black blood, and they know. Hope floods their faces. You gather them, a silent, trembling flock, and lead them single file back along the thread. The maze seems less hostile now, as if the death of its guardian has sapped its malice. Or perhaps it is just waiting. You do not care, you have the thread. You walk for an eternity, your legs leaden. Then you see a pinprick of daylight, it grows. The smell of salt air, clean and sharp, cuts through the stench of the labyrinth. You emerge, blinking, into the blinding sun of Crete. You have done the impossible. You have walked out of the living tomb. Ariadne is there, her face pale, waiting. She sees the blood, the exhausted triumph in your eyes, and she knows. Her bargain is met. But as you look at her, and at the black-sailed ship in the harbor, you realize the maze is not behind you. You have merely exchanged a prison of stone for a tangle of promises and a debt that must be paid with a white sail. The voyage from Crete is not a victory parade. It is a fever dream of exhaustion and guilt. You did it. You saved the Athenians. Ariadne is by your side, her eyes full of a future she dared to steal. You owe her your life, your success. The ship puts in at the island of Naxos to take on fresh water. You are so tired, your body a map of bruises, your mind a storm of fading adrenaline and creeping doubt. You lie down on the warm sand beneath the pines just for a moment while the crew works. Ariadne sits beside you, humming. The sound of the waves, the scent of pine and salt, your eyes grow heavy. The world softens, blurs, you sleep the sleep of the dead. When you wake, the sun has moved across the sky. The ship is ready. The crew is waiting. Ariadne is gone. You call for her, no answer. You search the small beach, the grove, nothing. One of the sailors avoids your eye. Lord, he mutters. The god came for her, Dionysus. He claimed her as his bride. He said it was fated. Your blood runs cold. You remember the stories of the wild god, his jealousy, his power. Was this always his design? Did he guide her thread, her hope, only to snatch her away at the moment of fulfillment? Or did the crew, fearful of carrying a princess stolen from Minos, abandon her while you slept? You look at their shuttered faces. You will never know the truth. All you know is this. You broke her out of one maze and led her into another. You failed your oath to her. The taste of victory from the labyrinth turns to ash, mixed with the salt of the sea. You board the ship in silence, the weight of this new failure heavier than the Minotaur's carcass. You set sail for Athens. You do not speak. You stare at the horizon and you forget. In your grief, in your shame, in your exhausted stupor, you forget the most important promise of all. The coast of Attica rises from the sea, a welcome and a terror. Home, your father's city. You stand at the prow, the wind in your hair. The crew is merry, celebrating their salvation, their freedom. They have already repainted the ship's hull, scrubbed the decks. But in the frenzy of departure from Naxos, in the fog of your guilt over Ariadne, one command was never given. One detail was overlooked. You are looking at the Acropolis, scanning for the spot where your father will be watching when you see it. The sail above you. It is not white, it is black, the original despairing black. The sight hits you like a physical blow, your oath, your promise. White sails. The words are a dry croak in your throat. You turn, screaming at the crew. The sails change the sails, but it is too late. You see the tiny, distant figure on the cliff of the Acropolis, the place of the sacred watch. He has been waiting for days, staring at the horizon. He sees the ship. He sees the black sails. He sees the confirmation of his worst fear. His son is dead, devoured by the monster. You watch helpless as the tiny figure raises its arms to the sky in a gesture of ultimate grief. Then it steps forward and falls. Time slows, the sound of the sea vanishes. You see the king's body, a dark speck, tumbling down the cliff face to the rocks below. You have killed the Minotaur. You have saved Athens. And with a simple, forgotten piece of cloth, you have murdered your own father. The victory is now a funeral shroud. You have cleared the road of monsters only to become the agent of your family's doom. The hero has returned, and his first act as heir is to inherit a throne stained with his father's blood. The palace is a tomb. The jubilation that should have greeted the conqueror of the Minotaur is suffocated under a blanket of silence and sidelong glances. You are king now. The throne of Aegeus is yours. You sit upon it and the wood feels like ice. The crown is a band of lead on your brow. Every celebration in the streets feels like a mockery of the old man who threw himself from the cliff for love of you. You try to rule wisely. You unite the villages of Attica into one city-state, a true Athens. You build, you legislate, you are hailed as a wise and strong king. But in the quiet moments, in the deep watches of the night, you see only two things: the intelligent, dying eyes of the Minotaur and the falling silhouette of your father. You are a hero who has become a curse to your own house. You bury yourself in work and adventure, trying to outrun the ghosts. You sail with Heracles to conquer the Amazons, and you take their queen, Hippolyta, as your wife. Or is it as a prize, a distraction? You bring her back to Athens, a fierce, magnificent woman who does not belong in this city of whispers and marble. You have a son with her, Hippolytus. You think perhaps this is how you rebuild, a new family, a new line. But the fates are not done with you. The thread of your life, tangled and stained, has more knots to pull tight. Hippolyta is dead. Some say in battle, some say by your own Athenian people who never accepted her. Your son Hippolytus is grown, a beautiful, solemn youth who shuns the politics of the city and the intrigue of the palace. He worships Artemis, the virgin huntress, and spurns all talk of love and women. You are proud of him and yet distant. He is a reminder of a wife lost, of a life you tried to build on cracked foundations. Then you remarry, Phaedra, sister to Ariadne. Another princess of Crete, another thread from the old nightmare weaving back into your life. It is a political match, a binding of Athens to Crete's power. You do not love her. She is young, beautiful, and desperately unhappy in this foreign, gloomy court. You are often away, kingly duties, old adventures calling like sirens. And in your absence, the poison takes root. Phaedra sees Hippolytus, his pure, athletic beauty, his serious grace. A forbidden, consuming passion grips her, a curse perhaps from Aphrodite, angered by his devotion to Artemis. When you return, you find your wife in a state of near madness. She is wasting away. Her nurse finally whispers the truth in your ear. My lord, it is Hippolytus. He attacked her. He tried to force himself upon your queen. The words are a dagger in the dark. You see red. The labyrinthine rage, the same that faced the bandits and the Minotaur, rises in you. But now it is blind, directionless, fueled by betrayal. You do not question. You do not seek your son's account. You remember Ariadne, you remember your father, you see only another betrayal from the line of Crete, from your own blood. In your fury, you call upon Poseidon, the god who may be your true father. You remind him of the 3 curses he once promised you. You unleash one now. Father, if ever you favored me, let Hippolytus not see the end of this day. The vow echoes in the silent palace. It is done. You have spoken a god's death sentence upon your own son. And you do not yet know that Phaedra, in her shame and despair, has already hanged herself, a scroll of confession clutched in her dead hand. The news comes like successive hammer blows. Phaedra's body, the scroll in her hand, confessing her own forbidden love and Hippolytus's innocence, her lie born of shame. Your breath leaves you. The world tilts. You have cursed an innocent man, your son. You rush to the coast where he was last seen driving his chariot. You are too late. You see the aftermath. A shattered chariot on the rocks, his terrified horses now calm, and the sea, the eternal, cruel sea. A massive, monstrous bull formed from a curling wave itself had erupted from the surf, spooking the horses. They bolted, dragging the chariot, smashing it against the rocks. Hippolytus is broken, his body a ruin, but still breathing just. You fall to your knees beside him, his eyes open. They are not full of accusation, they are clear, sad. Father, he whispers, blood on his lips. It is all right, I am innocent. You cannot speak. You can only hold him as the light leaves his eyes. Poseidon honored your curse. The god of the sea, your maybe father, has given you exactly what you asked for. The justice of the gods is a literal, horrifying thing. You held a thread in the labyrinth and found your way out. But here, on the sunlit rocks, there is no thread. Only the consequence of your rage, your haste, your tragic failure to see the truth. You have slain the monster, and you have become the monster. The hero king has destroyed his own house completely, finally. Athens cannot hold you. The palace walls whisper of your father, your wife, your son. You are not a king, you are a walking plague upon your own lineage. You abdicate, you place the crown on another's head, a relative. You take nothing but a staff and a cloak. You leave the city you unified, the throne you earned with blood and lost with grief. You become a wanderer, an old man long before your time. You walk the roads of Greece, but now you are not the youthful cleanser of the isthmus. You are a ghost, a cautionary tale. You come at last to the island of Skyros, to the court of King Lycomedes, an old, faint friend. He welcomes you, but his eyes are wary. You are still Theseus, the legend, and legends make dangerous guests. You are tired. Your bones ache with a cold that has nothing to do with winter. You walk with Lycomedes along the high cliffs of the island, looking out at the wine-dark sea. You speak of old times, of the Minotaur, of things best forgot. You stand at the cliff's edge, the wind pulling at your gray hair. You feel his hand on your back. Is it a steadying gesture or is it a push? There is a moment of terrible ambiguity. Then the ground is gone. You are falling just as your father fell. The sky and sea swap places. You see Lycomedes' face, a tiny, expressionless oval at the cliff's edge, receding. There is no anger, only a weary understanding. This is how it ends, not in a glorious battle, not in a noble sacrifice. In a petty murder on a lonely island because a fated hero is an inconvenient guest. The labyrinth of your life ends not with a monster's roar, but with the silent, crushing embrace of the sea. The thread is cut. Darkness, and then not darkness, a sense of presence. You are nowhere and everywhere. Time is a river you stand beside. You see your body broken on the rocks of Skyros. You see Lycomedes claim you slipped. You see the Athenians, generations later, finally remember you. They are threatened by the Persians. An oracle tells them to retrieve your bones. A warrior named Cimon comes to Skyros, finds your great skeleton buried with a bronze spear and sword. He brings your relics back to Athens in triumph. They build a great tomb for you in the heart of the city, a sanctuary for the oppressed, a symbol of the strong protector. You who failed to protect your own father, wife, and son become a guardian of slaves and the powerless. The irony is a dry, eternal whisper in your non-existent ear. You watch your story become a tool, a lesson, a myth. The bandits, the Minotaur, the black sail, the tragic curse, all polished into a shining, simplified tale for boys. The pain, the guilt, the ash taste of your victories. Those are sanded away. You are a statue now, a name, a founder. The man who lifted the stone, who walked the maze, who died by a betrayal is gone. What remains is the symbol, the hero. It is a cold comfort, this legacy. It is another kind of labyrinth, built not of stone, but of memory and lies, and you are trapped at the center of it forever. The thread is gone. You are the Minotaur in this new maze, and there is no Theseus coming to slay you. Another legend fades, but the next awaits. Like this video, subscribe and continue the journey through myths.